Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Mike, this is Build and Tinker, and today's a special video because we're not building something, we are modding something, and we have something very special here. Let me turn that around. These are the bat beacons from Mike Lane Mods, and these are for the 1/8 scale Batmobile from Fanhome Disassembly. They replace the stock beacon electronics, and they work with the stock remote and the stock PCB, so you can use them on their own with that, or apparently they work with the soon to be released bat circuit from Mike Lane. We don't know a lot about that yet. He's teased us with some images, but he's yet to release that product, but it will work with either, and you can fit this to your model without any drilling, any cutting, gluing or anything like that. So let's have a look and see what's inside. So the bat beacon comes in this small packet, and it's very small and light, but it's also very fragile. So we're going to be very careful opening it, and we're going to be very careful installing it. So I'm gently open up the packet and see what we have inside. Okay, so on the very first thing we see is a fragile sticker on this piece here, which is inside an anti-static bag, and this is a flexible piece with LEDs and what have you on it. Now, we saw something similar to this. Anyone who's familiar with the Mike Lane Ultimate kit will know that there is a flexible circuit board as part of the dashboard. Because the dashboard's curved, you can't really use a solid one, and so he has a flexi one, and this looks to be a similar thing. They are very easy to break if you're not careful, and you can tear them, so we're going to be ultra careful with that. We're not even going to get it out of the packet right now. We then have another packet with two little circuit boards in it. See how well you can see that, and they're in the same packet, but they're separated so they can't, which is quite clever. And as you can see, it's incredibly small, but that is the controller. And then we've got a cable kit with a few different cables and what looks to be some black tape. So get the rubbish out of the way for now, and as with all of Mike's mods, the QR code will take you to the website where you can have a look and get the full installation instructions. So we're going to do that. I'm going to grab my phone, it's just here, and we're going to scan the QR code, and oh, almost didn't have it, there we go, and there we have the instructions. And of course it's going to start with the process of removal. We've got to take the old stock pieces out first. Now I have here, let me grab the stock pieces. So here are the stock components, and anyone who's been following my videos of the build of this model will know that we assembled the I don't know what you call this, it's like a rollover hoop, but we assembled this bar with the beacon quite early on in the build. I think it was issue 3 or 4, something like that, and I think I mentioned at the time that it's actually a lovely part, but the electronics let it down. They're okay. Now, if you do follow those videos, you know that we haven't actually got as far as getting the stock circuit board, battery box and everything installed. However, I did have those parts. I've actually got almost the entire model in parts. So I fished those bits out and just assembled enough to show you the stock beacon working. We've also got some headlights and brake lights. And the model is controlled using this remote control that comes with it, which we also assemble. It's not the best remote in the world, I'm going to be honest. It's a bit cheap and cheesy. It falls apart routinely because it's not screwed together, it's just clipped, and the button press is not very precise, and sometimes the buttons stick down. It is what it is. It does work, and the stock board doesn't do a lot. It basically turns lights on and off and makes a couple of sounds, but to see it working, just so that you can see what happens when we turn it on, again, sometimes doesn't respond, you'll see the stock board simply flashes a red LED, which is fine. It doesn't do anything else. None of this side lights or anything light up, and these top ones don't either. I've watched a lot of the Batman original series. I've never seen these top lights come on, and I've watched 50 or 60 episodes recently. When I'm building a model, I like to really get into, normally it's because I'm a fan of whatever it is, but if I don't have, or if I haven't seen it in a while, or if I don't have the DVDs, I'll go and buy them and I'll watch them again, because it helps me as well understand where I might be able to do little modifications and upgrades to make it a little bit more screen realistic. I've never seen those lights come on. I have seen the beacon light flash in the series. It doesn't flash like this, it's slower and it's a bit more of a fade to it, but it does flash. However, on the original series, Series 1, it rotated, and that's of course what everyone is wanting to see. So that's how the stock board works, and what we're going to do is we're just going to switch that off, and we're going to unplug the beacon from the stock board. We'll get rid of that for the moment. We will need that again for testing at the end. And we'll put the remote to one side. And we need to start the disassembly. So, I kind of remember how this went together, but we're going to start by just gently turning this piece over. Be really careful of these top LED lights. These top lights. They're not LEDs, they don't light up, but just be careful. It is plastic, you could break them. So we're going to gently pop it upside down. In fact, I have here some foam, so I might just pop it on the foam first. But nothing we're doing here requires a lot of force, so we can just take our time and be careful with it. Now I do need to pop, no I don't, I just need to pop these screws out. So there's 4 screws that hold this cover piece on. So it's a plastic cover piece, and there's one in the middle, one at one end and 2 at this end. Now some of you may or may not be able to hear in the background some banging noises, which unfortunately is not something I can control. My neighbours have got some builders in, seemingly in their back garden, and this room where I film is in my garden, and it's not the most soundproof, so apologies for that if you can hear it. But it's the middle of the day and they're more than entitled to make noise. So we're going to feed this cable out from here. And there we are, there's that cover off, and you'll see that's the stock LED, and the cable just runs loosely in this channel here. And then there are 2 screws here. These are AM screws. I think everything is AM screws on this. Okay, no, these 4 are, and these 2 are. The other 2 are different size. So we're going to take this cover off. And this is the cover that goes over the back of the original beacon, and it has a little sort of stud sticking out of it, which goes into the back of the emergency bat turn lever. And then we just remove the LED and its reflector housing. So we're going to keep the housing but ditch the stock LED. So we just very gently pull it out. I'm not going to throw it away, it might come in handy for something one day. And then what we are going to do is remove these 2 screws. These screws here, which have got a really wide head, hold down this metal bar. This metal bar holds these 4 side lenses in place. And I remember when installing it originally, they want to jump out of their seat. They don't like saying, so I know that I'm holding my fingers over all of them to stop them just disappearing, because I don't want to drop them on the floor. But they were a little bit fun to put in the first time around. I think they're going to be fun again today. So we'll gently lift out this bracket. It only goes on in one direction. You can't put it on backwards, so remember which way that goes. And then I think, if I'm very careful, look at that. For the moment at least, those lenses are staying put. So let's have a look at the next step of instructions. So we've removed all the original pieces and we now have everything laid out on the table. Okay, so now we get to installing. Okay, we're starting with the flexible PCB. So this is this very fragile piece here. In fact, I'm not even going to try. I'm going to cut the bag open because I don't want to try and get it past this. I don't know if you can see. I don't want to get it past this seam because I don't want to knock any components off. But equally, I don't want to cut it. So you could cut through it with a pair of scissors. So I'm very, very close to the edge of the bag here. Just going to cut the bag open. You do what you prefer, but I just want to not risk pulling that past the seam in the bag and knocking any of the components off, because you can do that. And then we're just going to gently open the bag and see if we can tease this out. Okay, it's come out very easy. Now again, just be careful that you don't rip it. And okay, so it's got a reflective piece on this side. There's 5 little LEDs on that circular piece. Let's see if we can guess it. And then on this side, there's a QR code, but there's also, you see that, some LEDs on that square piece. So we've got LEDs on both sides. And then there's this middle tab here. Okay. So we've got our flexible PCB. We've taken out the reflector. And I'm just going to put my hands here just to hold these lenses in place where I don't want them dropping out. And we put the PCB, the flexible one, over those 2 screw studs. So if you can see there are 2 screw studs in the frame, here and there. And there are 2 holes in the flexible PCB, so it literally just drops into place and it holds it in the right place. So that's really easy, and you just have to be gentle. And then we drop this bar over that holds these lenses in place, which is easier said than done, but there we go. Okay, that's in, perfect. And now we screw that down with these stock screws. Doing it one-handed because I don't want to let go of these lenses. I don't want them dropping out. They were a bit fiddly first time around. There we go. You can let go of it now. We don't need to over tighten that. And then the other one. So we now have it attached. There we are. We now have it attached, and you can see this circular piece is going to drop down into that gap there. So let's check the next set of instructions. Okay, so before we do anything more, we're going to get the controller in place. So the controller is this, one of these little circuit boards in this packet. Bring it open. There we are. And it really is tiny. That's the whole thing. It's basically mostly one big chip and a couple of connectors. And on the back it's got a sticky pad. So we're going to start by opening up on the front of this connector. Now we've seen these before on one of Mike's mods. We saw this on the kit dashboard screens, and it flicks up. There's a little black lid and you just open it up. I know it's very hard to focus on that, but we open that little clip up, and then we also start, well, we remove the, it says here to remove the backing off the tape. So this is the bit where we need to be careful, I think, because we're now going to attach this to both the, you know, the roll bar, but also to the flexible PCB. So it's got to, you've got to stick it in exactly the right place. Now, what Mike is saying is, okay, to gently lift the flexible PCB up away from the board I'm not going to use a screwdriver for that, that's probably not very wise. Just lift it up slightly from the round end. I'm just going to put my finger under it, just so that I can then slide the connector in to the PCB, to the controller, and then flick the little grey clip down. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. It's really hard to do it at the angle that you need to see it on camera and be able to see it myself. And with that in place, I'm just going to let that sort of drop naturally where it rests, and now the sticky has taken hold, and it's in. So sorry if you really didn't catch all of it, but we basically just got that connector into here, just the tab that was on the flexible board, pushed the grey clip down nice and tight, and then allowed it to just drop under its own weight onto the roll bar, and it's stuck on good and proper, and nothing is creased, and everything seems to be in the right place. Famous last words. So with that clipped down, again, I'm just going through these instructions. We can gently push this. Just do it with your little finger. I don't want to do any, I don't want to scratch it into. So we push the disc with the LEDs on it, which are now facing downwards, into the beacon. And it says they may not sit flat at this stage. Oops, but that's okay, because now we take the original chrome mount that had the original original LED in it, and we put it just back exactly where it was. It does have a cutout in it, so actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to line up this cutout. I don't know how easy you can see that with the flexible PCB where that comes out. Okay, it's sitting up a little bit because there's nothing to hold it down right now, and this is what's going to hold it down, is the original clip. Now that went in with AM screws, so I'm going to get a screw on the screwdriver first. So we now put this original bracket on. Let's see, don't know if you're able to see all of this, but that looks a bit better. So we get this original bracket back in place. Oops, I'll put the chrome piece in first, and just try and hold it while I get the first screw to catch. Okay, once the first one's on, it's going to get easier. Not that it's hard, this has been pretty straightforward. There we go. I've not done it all the way yet, I just want to get the second one in. I'll screw that down all the way, and it's in. So we've now got this controller board sitting between the two brackets, and everything else stock installed. So we now need, okay, there's a cable. So let's go back to our cable kit. I'll zoom you back out again so you can see. So we've got a few cables in here. Now, according to the instructions, I did read through them before I started. If you're running this with a stock PCB, which, well, we all are at the moment because that's all there is, then you need all of these cables. You also need this one remaining tiny little PCB, and that allows you to hook it all up to the stock circuit board. When Mike's bat circuit comes out, you won't need all of those. You'll just need this one, and that will go straight to the bat circuit, and it will control it and do everything. But for now, we're going to have to install everything, but he gives us everything we need. We start with this very thin cable, which again looks very reminiscent. I've seen these on the kit model for the Ultimate kit, so we know they're good. And again, I'm just going to bring you in a bit closer so you can see. And so this little cable here goes into this socket here. Now you've got to get it the right way up. Okay, so the right way up basically means you need to be able to see the side of the plug where you can't see the cables, because on the back side of the plug you can see the cables going into their grips. On the front side of the plug you can't. And in this instance that means the grey's at the bottom, but it might not be the case. Let me see. Yeah, it wouldn't be the case if you use the other end of the cable. So just make sure the cable's facing down. You can't see the open end, you can't see the open elements, and again it's incredibly small and fiddly, but it will plug into, just put it this way up so I can see, it will plug into there, and it should go in pretty easy. These are like the kit cables, and I remember on the Kit Ultimate kit, the Knight Rider one, and if you try to put them in upside down you'd have to force them. If you try to put it the right way up, it goes in without too much force. And there we are, that's gone in. And again, I'm going to support the other side of the controller just while I push that in. So I don't want to push the controller, have it come detached and rip the flexible one. And that's in. Okay, pretty easy. And that's just going to run down the same as the original cable did, but it's going to go down one side here. Let me just zoom out a little for you again. Going to run down this side here, but then we're going to deliberately put a little kink in it. And according to the instructions, that's to stop you from ever accidentally pulling on the cable and yanking it out, because if you do that once it's all assembled, you're going to struggle to get it in again. You have to disassemble everything. So this is what these black pieces of tape are for. So just going to take the backing off of one of these. So there we go. And we're going to use this to put a right angle in the cable, just a gentle one. You obviously don't want to kink the cable, but okay, so if you can see that, we've just taped it like that, and then it's going to come back down that way. And obviously it's going to use the original hole that the stock LED used, so it's going to come through this square hole here, and again without pulling on the cable, because we don't want to pull it out. Oh, we nearly lost our bat turn lever. We now place the original cover back on, and it fits. Don't push too hard, because obviously we've got these pieces underneath, and we'll screw it back on with the original screws. One there, two at this end, and one in the middle. Okay, looking good. So we're going to be really gentle with this cable. We didn't need both of these, but I will keep them because they're always useful. So we've got it in, and obviously we want to see that it works. Now we don't actually install the circuit board for, well, I don't even know when. I think that goes in issue 50 something. Oh, actually it says in the instructions you get the battery box in issue 53, the PCB in issue 55, and the remote control in issue 56. So if you haven't got that far, you won't have the pieces to test this. But I do have the pieces to test this, and they are here. So there's a little bit of hooking up we need to do. So let's see. So we need the other tiny PCB. Oh, here it is. So small, didn't spot it was there. So this is called the breakout board, and it enables us to connect this to the stock And looking at the picture on Mike's website, it's quite straightforward. So we're going to place it on the table with the very, very tiny connectors facing out to my left. Again, I'll bring you in a bit closer so you can see. Okay. So we've got the tiny cable out to the left here, tiny socket, and we've got a red and black cable from Mike, and we've got a yellow and black cable. So that makes it very easy. So we take the red and black one, and we're going to connect that to this bottom connector here, which you probably can't see, but it does say on it power, or PWR, which I'm guessing means power. So we push this into there, we get it the right way up. We should have, if we put it the right way round, we should have the red out to our right. And then we take the yellow one, and that goes in this end socket here, and we should have the yellow strand closest to us here towards the bottom. We're just following the picture on Mike's website. Very easy. The top one doesn't get used. Now what we have to do, connect. Okay, the very thin cable that comes out of the bat beacon goes into the very small socket here. Again, just make sure you get it the right way up. It should go in without any real effort. If you're having to force it, you've got it the wrong way around. I'm going to just rotate that. There we are. Because that cable's trying to fight me. Okay, so we've got our breakout board done. We also get from Mike a splitter. It's a Y splitter, and that is for giving us power. So one half of the splitter goes on the other end of this red and black cable. That's obviously going to give power to the bat circuit. And if we could take our stock PCB here, we're going to unplug the battery box, which is B for battery, and we're going to put that into the other socket on this Y splitter, and we're going to put the plug on the Y splitter. I'm going to take the battery. It started doing something. It's ruined my reveal. We're going to take the plug and we're going to put that into B for battery. So our Y splitter is now taking the feed from the battery box and sending it in two directions, to the bat beacons and to the stock board. And then the yellow and black goes into L in the stock board, which is where the original beacon went. And I guess that's how it's going to know when to come on. So we're all done, we're all set. We're going to put the battery in, and we're going to switch the stock board on. It came to life for a second, but what I'm also going to do, I'm going to switch off a couple of my lights here, because I think that's going to give us a greater effect. Right, there we go. It's got a bit dark in here now. So before we do the test, I've actually swapped out the batteries because it wasn't behaving very well, and they were pretty flat. So something else I've discovered about this stock board: even when you turn it off with the big slidey switch, it doesn't turn it off. There's actually still power to the board, and although it won't respond to remote, it is still powered, and it just sits there and drains the batteries. The remote also drains the batteries, even when you're not using it. I left it on the side for 2 weeks with a brand new battery in it. By the time I picked it up again, hadn't used it, the battery was dead. So that's good. Not to worry, we now have a fresh set of batteries. We've got our bat beacons installed, so let's press the beacon button on our stock remote, and there we have it. I don't know how well you can see that, but we've got the rotating beacon and the side flashes flashing away on both sides. And I think that looks pretty good. And okay, it's now moved to pulsing mode. So according to the instructions, if you press the button once and turn it on like this, it will go through every mode it has. So it will start with the rotating, then it will go to pulsing with the side markers on the first two, and then it will go to rotating without the side markers, and so on and so forth. So that's presentation mode, and you can have it sit there and cycle through that indefinitely, which is pretty cool. If you want to choose a mode that you like, you press the beacon button again and it will go off because the beacon's gone off. But next time it comes on, it will go into the next mode. So for this, the next mode is rotating with the side beacons, and it will stay in that mode until you turn it off again. And in fact, it has a memory function. So if I was to turn it off again now and not select the next mode, so I wait, I don't know how long it is, but apparently it's a few seconds. So if I wait 10-15 seconds, I'm not sure, next time I turn it on, it will remember and it will come on to the one I had last time, so I don't have to keep cycling through each time, which is quite cool. However, if I do want the next one, I go off and then on again relatively quickly, and you see I'm now on the next mode. So I can, that's really cool, I can choose the mode I want, and then actually each time I choose the beacons to come on or off, then it's going to remember. And this pulsing mode, unlike the stock one, as you can see, it's a nice gentle pulse in and out, which is really cool. The side beacons look amazing, and the rotations, obviously, I think what a lot of people want. And I did play around with one of those. You can get those cheap, rotating things that you can plug in. They're not very good because, for a start, the animation's not as smooth. They're way too fast. They also go in the wrong direction, and they need a constant power supply, which you can't get from the OWL socket off here, because in the stock board flashes that socket. So you can't hook it up to that, so it's really hard to make it work then with the stock remote. Let's get it back into presentation mode. There we go. I think that's great, and that's going to look amazing on the car when that's done. I really like it. The big shame here is that we don't fit this piece to the car until almost the very end. I think it's one of the last pieces to be fitted, which makes sense because it's at the it's at the top of the car. So this this is going to be at best a desk ornament for the next few weeks and months until the model gets finished. But it's just a good one, but unfortunately, it's going to get stowed away in a box now for a while. But what a great mod! I think it really is necessary to get the model screen accurate and easy to install, easy to operate, and once again, another essential Mike Lane mod. Can't wait to see the Bat circuit come out, and all the things that's going to do, which are all under wraps at the moment. So as soon as we know more about that, we'll post what we can on the channel. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Hope it was helpful. I'll put a link below as to where you can order your own Bat beacons, and yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to sit and watch this animate and pulsate for the rest of the afternoon now. This is mesmeric. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please click like, click subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you have a great day. Take care.